Hello, this is Quiltman.
Hi, this is Mark Shark. You're listening to Native Americano Cafe.
Pensacola. Very good man, wonderful man.
All right, you guys, I've been starting off and I've been asking people what this is. A lot of the young people don't know what it is, but this idea is if you take a seashell and put it to your ear, you'll hear the ocean. But this is a magical transistor radio, and today you guys came up on the dial. If you put it to your ear, you hear Native Americana. It's kind of coming in faintly, quiet, but you guys are definitely on the scope, and that's what this is about. Just kind of saying hello to people, friends, and ask how you're coping along. Maybe sing a song for us today, and how we can get a hold of you, and then we'll load up a Dropbox file if you want to put a message or anything. If you don't want to, that's fine too. This will be edited. Everything will be edited. So welcome to the show today. And we have a couple of good friends on Native Americana Audio Cafe. I first asked Quiltman to come on. So Quilt, why don't you say hello to us and say something from where you're at?
Oh, hello. I'm Quilt, yeah. And I'm coming from Seminachio, Oregon. It's God's country, local calls to God from right here.
All right, Mark, you could fill in.
Well, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and that's, I guess, about an hour and a half from where Quilt is. And we get together every now and then, and we've been doing some recording, working on a record together. Had a wonderful studio here in Portland called Blue Heron, and we've actually got a new CD, and we were all ready to do our CD release party. We had a concert scheduled, and it was on May 2nd. We're going to have our big CD release, and then, well, it got shut down because all this craziness here. But we do have it, and hell, I got to send you a copy. Because right before this came down too, we did a little work on David Huckfeldt's record, and particularly there was one great song that you had on there. Man, that's a good song. And Quilt did some singing on it, and so we've been trying to keep in touch with each other. After John Trudell passed, we took some time off, and then we got together with our good friend Joel Raphael to do some concerts, and he recited John's poetry and did a great job. And we're just trying to keep John's message going. And, we worked together, me and Quilt and John and the rest of the boys, for like 30 years or something. Got like 14 CDs out. And after John left us, it was like, what do we do now? And so we took a new look at some of the songs that we did with John, and really featured Quilt a lot on it. If you hear this record, there's a lot of Quiltman on there, and that's good, isn't it, Quilt? a lot of Quiltman, and there's lots of echo and reverb on them. Sounds like he's standing in the Grand Canyon itself. And he sang beautifully on it, and we're real proud of it. And when all this craziness dies down, maybe we can get within 6 feet of each other again, although I'm still going to stay at least 8 feet away from Quilt at any time.
I got 10-foot pole for you, so, 10 marks from a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
I think, I talk about how Native Americana is at the crossroads of many Haha and Hiawatha, and the definite styles, of topical and musical styles. And right here in front of the screen is the collision in front of me. This is the definition, of how you guys combined melody, rhythm, politics, metaphysical ideas and spiritual and philosophical things in songs. And gosh, I appreciate that. And I know, Quilt, you sing a lot of different style powwow songs and all kinds of songs. And how do you put the songs together for Mark and John? How would you do that?
Shit, I don't know. I just gotta make it up, you know. But then there's some songs that I know that goes with the poetry, you know. It was all about the poetry. The poetry. Well, I guess sometimes the music too, you know, it would come up. I don't know really. I just played by ear. I figured, you know, that there's a lot of singers out there that are better than me, a lot better than me. But then I hear some of the music, and I said to myself, I could do better than that. So I tried it out with John, you know. I tried it out with John. I originally started up for John, because when he asked me to do this, you know, he was having a hard time. He was coming off a hard one, you know. So it was all for him. It was for him. I told him I'd do anything for you, bring him out of that where he was at that time, you know. He was having a rough one. He lost his family, you know, and he started writing his poetry. And I heard he played me a tape of his poetry, a poetry reading he did at Northrop Auditorium. And when I heard that, you know, I knew that poetry could be forever, man. That was awesome, man. You know, the crowd reaction. And he played that for me. Then he told me to sing a song with it. So that's where we started right there.
That the Tribal Voice record really was the beginning of the whole musical and poetry combination. And, you know, you put that record on and it's as timely today as it was then. Man, look at us, you know, that's a heavy statement. And that record was the whole start of it. Then Jesse heard that record and met John, and Jesse Ed Davis. And once Jesse got together with Quiltman and John, then it brought the guitar into it too. And so that was the El Salvador record with Beauty and a Fade, and you know, that was the meeting of the guitar, Quiltman and John. And then of course I met Jesse years later, and he asked me to play some guitar to back him up. And so that brought me into the mix, and Ricky Eckstein recorded all those at his studio. And then we became an electric band and added bass and drums, and it was unique, you know, it really was. I've never been in another band like that, and you know, even Bob Dylan just recognized, hey, there's something special going on here, and told everybody, and played John's tapes before his concerts, and it became something that we could all do together. You know, as we had white people in there, and we had Indians, and you know, somehow we managed to make the bridge between the two cultures work. Even though Quiltman and I kill each other an awful lot, you know, we got a lot in common after being together in musical situations for the last 35 years. And you know, it's something I really treasure.
Do you guys, when you compose, Mark and Quilt, do you come to Quilt's pitch, or does pitch come to yours? Like if you're playing the blues in A, does he come to you?
Well, that was a consideration at the beginning, because you know, if you're singing unaccompanied, and you're playing a song that happens to be in A's, I mean, Quiltman singing, it's not necessarily A440. It's not. So at the beginning, when we had to start doing this together, we had to learn. I'd say to Quilt, now listen, you have to vibrate at a fixed pitch consistently. And he'd say, hey man, fuck you, I'm just doing exactly what I'm doing. You can either play or not. And And I'd say, well, can you start on this note? And give them a note to start on. And gradually through working together, Quilt's got a great sense of pitch. And as soon as he hears where A440 is, he can nail it. It's just that after years of singing in drum groups, you don't have a guitar. You don't have to play to a fixed pitch. So that took a little bit of adjustment, but we got it now.
And I think another factor was the pitch of John's voice worked as well.
Yeah, but John, he had that depth to his. It's really a rich tone of voice, and was so confident about what he wanted to say. John was not a shrinking violet. John had a message, and he's going to get it out there. You listen to like All There Is to It, or Johnny Damas and Me, and all these really, man, he was he was something. I miss him terribly. One of a kind.
Well, you were on that Comet ride with him, and it's fantastic that he created all this music for us in a path. How about a song this morning, Quilt? You got a song queued up there in your reservoir of songs?
All right. Is Mark going to play on this with me, or
No, Mark can't. No.
It won't work technologically. We need it'll be out of time. So you solo performance, Quilt, solo.
I'll do one right now for the missing and murdered women, Indigenous women. All right.
voices in fine form, and thank you for bringing us into the present tense. You know, our elders, they talk about that we have to live in the present tense, and I think medicine is in the present tense, you know, like medicine and songs and intention. And that's what you guys are all about, you know, that present tense. And I guess we're stuck in the moment right now, you know, all of us, and appreciate that song. Really appreciate. It's about a heavy subject, missing and murdered. You know, want to talk about this movement, the missing and murdered movement? Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, you know, it's just wrong what this country and Canada, how they're treating our women, the Native women. You know, it mainly, I think it comes from that oil and gas industry and their man camps that they build for their pipelines. So they come in there and boy, the women start disappearing. Right now, the women and even men, they're just disappearing and they're not heard from again. And I don't know, man, this government don't seem to take it too seriously, I think. You know, it's this president and his bunch, you know, they kind of are really right out in the open with the racism, with you know, with how they feel about the Indian people, the black people, the Mexicans, you know. They're just throwing it right in our face. And I think that all of the Native nations, they need to stand up for the women, for what they're going through right now, you know, because I have a lot of friends and I have relations, you know, who are affected big time with that, losing daughters and wives. You know, it's crazy that has to be happening, you know, and seems like we're almost helpless. We're almost helpless because they'll just kill us. They kill us, you know. It's really strange, you know, like at Standing Rock, what they did to us at Standing Rock, you know, with their violence and with that, you know, and it was just for praying. And it was really hard, man. It was really hard because it was women getting beat up and it was young kids getting shot off their horses. It was awful. And men, you know, they didn't want us to do anything, you know, that just be prayerful. And it was really hard. And when the government comes and attacks praying people, you know, and then they let these racists, they walk when they kill people, when they kill black people, when they kill Indian people, you know, when they lock kids in cages and stuff like that. And if you get mad and you try to do something, they'll kill you. It's not right, you know. It's just something we got to work on. I think all of us, all the Indian nations, you know, maybe all the Indian nations need to grab a couple of veterans or a couple of AIM guys or something and send them all together, make a big warrior society or something, you know. Something has to happen. It's just awful that, you know, that there's times we can't do anything about it because they're watching us and they're going to lock us away or kill us. So it's just something, you know, it has to change. It has to change. That really has to change. We'll pray on it.
Thanks for sharing that truth. You know, I think that it's important for artists to express, but also that you sang that song, you know, that was real powerful. And the message is a hard thing for people. Truth is hard. You know, it's hard for us to hear and hard for us, but someone has to, and we have to stand up for that. And we know the correlation between the loss of Native women's rights and the rights of the Mother Earth, definitely correlated in pollution and in violations and things. But appreciate you and to share that. And what I always liked about you guys is even though we get heavy, we always drop our audiences off in a happy place, you know, like it's
There you
trying to
go.
make people laugh again and think about real change in approaching some hard dialogues. Thank you, Quilt.
Yeah,
Mark,
man.
I know you have a lot to say. I know you're thinking up there. You got thoughts today? Mark, what do you think about this situation?
Well, I don't know enough about it. I just was really informed about it at the NAMA Awards. The where everybody was wearing the red ribbons, and I mean, of course, it's an awful situation, and I uh, I wish there was something I could do about it as a white person, but just offer my support for everybody that's lost a uh, a woman to this terrible thing, and find out why this is going on. There's nobody's looking into it. It seems it's not really gotten much mainstream press. That it's been something among the native communities. Everybody's well aware of it, but it's not getting enough national media coverage to find out why and how this could possibly happening, something so terrible as this, and that really it's not reported in the national news. It's just ignored, and I just like to see more attention brought on it. And Quilt's statement was eloquent. I mean, it's all about the women in every single community, and to be losing a daughter or a wife or a mother is it's incomprehensibly tragic, and that something's got to be done about it. It needs more attention from the media and on the national scene.
Thanks, guys, for talking about a heavy subject. Mark, do you have your guitar there? Could you play us a song?
Sure.
And, we'll listen to a little bit of blues, or I don't know, what kind of guitar do you got there?
I've got my trusty James Burton red Telecaster that I've used for so many years. And let me see if I can get my camera angle on it. Here, there it is. I've got it tuned to G tuning, which was I used an awful lot for a lot of John and Quilt songs. I wish Quilt could sing along with me, but here's a little instrumental version of Beauty in a Fade. With that, Quilt? Oh, my darling, oh, my dear, please come home to me. Wait for me,
wait for me, my darling. I love you.
That's working.
All right.
Something like that.
I know that they're going to get there's better musical platforms, and so that'll be great when we get them going a little bit more. This is a step for all of us. I had to download Zoom. I didn't know what that was, or I didn't know what a Chrome browser was, and a little bit of confusion. But either you're talking about it or you're doing it, and so I think it's time to pick up again. Did How was it, Mark? Did you play music right afterwards, or are you starting to play music again?
Well, I've I am a guitar teacher really by trade. That's what I do in Portland. So I had a bunch of students, and then they closed the school, and immediately I had no students, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And my daughter, of course, who's 24, said, "Dad, use Zoom." I said, what's Zoom? And she said, "Look, it's really simple. It's really simple. I'll walk you through it." And so I thought, oh, I'll never be able to do this because I'm technologically challenged, to be sure, but it's not that hard. You'll download the program and you send an invitation and it works on the computer just fine. Now, it doesn't work really good for playing together because there's a time lag, so I was trying to listen to Quilt there and see if I could match him up, because I know he's like a quarter of a second behind me, so I tried to lay back on the beat. But there are programs, and I'm looking into it. I know a lot of friends of mine who are actually able to record together, to play music together, and I've got to talk to some engineer friends of mine about how that's possible. I know it's possible, and
Well,
that's
it was
beauty.
that's why I just wanted a little visit today. So,
All right, Keith Cash, it's good to see you.
all right, guys, you can leave the meeting now and take care. We'll have a sativa sunrise.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
There's that cafe, Buffalo Cafe in Portland, that is kind of been our sponsored place. And maybe when it gets all opened up, you guys could go in there and drink a Native Americana, like
Please.
Americano, yeah. Put a little feather on top and an Americano. So